Yeah, hey everybody, this is Ian from mindfulmarketplace.com, and welcome back to Serve and Scale. This is our series of videos and tutorials on how to use tools and technology to literally 10x your audience impact and income in 2020 and beyond. So essentially, this whole series is our way of asking the question, what can you borrow to build? What can you leverage to launch? What makes you look like a superhero or a magician or a wizard in your community, your niche, your marketplace, your locality, your vertical, whatever it is that you're building? What can you borrow out there in the world to really 10x your impact? So today we're going to look at something called Mightynetworks. This is a social network building software as a service that is really quite remarkable and is ideally suited for teachers, for community leaders, for niche marketers, for authors, for anyone who really wants to build a content community around an area of interest or expertise or personal passion, etc., etc. So Mightynetworks has been around for a while. I've used Mightynetworks for quite some time in our mindful marketplace community. There are some things that are different today that make it more appealing and unique, and I'm going to show you these things than it was a couple of years ago when I was first using Mightynetworks. Most notably to me is the addition of courses. So you can now create courses on Mightynetworks that are deeply ingrained in the community ecosystem, which essentially gives you a course, gives you the ability to teach courses and have a level of interactivity that you simply can't get on some of the analogs that are out there in the wild. So for an example, in our mindful marketplace community, if you look at partners.mindfulmarketplace.com, we use Podia, which is a fantastic platform to deliver content and courses to our community. We have our affiliate program built into that, our newsletter, all sorts of other really cool things that Podia does. But what Podia can't offer us is the ability to integrate community. Community elements or interactivity or conversation, or where members can sort of communicate with each other. And all of this is what Mightynetworks brings to the market in a very, very unique way. So, and I'll say this really quickly. Podia does have a membership, like a Patreon style membership style, protected content / community element to it. It's a great idea. I love Podia. We recommend it, but it simply doesn't work, right? From the standpoint of, at least in my experience, people don't engage that way, right? So if I put content behind we restrict the content, let's say, the membership module where folks have to sign in, they can comment and ask questions. It just doesn't happen. There's not this natural outgrowth of conversation within those sorts of software, of course creation software, because it's not the lead piece, let's say, or it's not the ascendant part of the tool and the tech. Where in Mightynetworks, as you can see, here in their little screenshot, I'm going to show you a network I just created to demonstrate how you can use this in your own community. It is actually ascendant. So this is a brand new community. It's this is just for example purposes. This is not the primary community we're running for Mindful Marketplace, but essentially this is called Sit Heads, and it's just a goofy idea that I had. We have a lot of folks in our community who are meditators, who are really interested in mindfulness and in meditation and in various sorts of spiritual practices, but have a little bit more of a sense of humor or a goofy approach to their, let's say their meditation practice, to make this easy. So, we created, so I have this sitheads.com, and we're going to create a newsletter and a content community where folks who have this sort of sort of more entertaining or lighthearted approach to their spiritual practice could interact in a private community. And I figured this would be a great way of just demonstrating to you some of the more advanced features on a Mighty network. So there are all kinds of cool things that you can do on every plan of your Mighty network, but you do need to upgrade to the higher levels to be able to incorporate things like courses. I don't know about events. I think events might be available on all plans, but there are certain things I'm going to show you here that you can only get through an upgraded plan. But if you're really building a serious community, these are game-changing tools and tech that will allow you to transform your brand in ways that you certainly can't do on an ordinary blog. You cannot get the level of interactivity that you can get from a Mighty network on, let's say, WordPress, or even something like Ghost, or anything like that. So let's really quickly look at my settings. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's go to network settings instead, and I'll show you some of the cool premium features that you can use, right? So in this case, the ambassador program is on, which is their version of an affiliate program. Not quite, in my view, as developed as it should be. Something like Podia gives you the ability to monetize your members, or create evangelists who can get paid to promote your content and courses. I don't think Mighty Networks has yet integrated that in, certainly not in the ambassador program levels that are available now. All right, this though is really powerful, right? So first experience for new members. This is an icebreaker question. I do believe this is a premium feature. So let's set that up here. And essentially what I would ask here is, really anything, but think of a good icebreaker question. Why is that W not disappearing? All right, so all right, so I could actually sometimes, add a second piece to that, but for simplicity's sake, I won't. And essentially, what you're going to see here, and you can hear that beep. Now there's an icebreaker question where everybody is going to see this first, right? So when they come to this meditation-oriented community, they're going to get a question like, "What is the number one thing you'd like to get from your meditation practice?" Now, obviously, I would refine this and predicate it on response and what folks are, how they're interacting with our content and community. I would make that a little bit more, spicier, snazzier, and more interesting, funnier, something that's more engaging than that. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to leave it there, and then you can change that. You can view the answers, etc., etc. All right, let's go to ways to connect members. So you can, create an online course, teach your members about a subject or an idea. We're going to cover this in some more detail in another video, but essentially, this is really where Mighty Networks is truly unique insofar as you can create courses that allow your audience, your members, your community to interact, to ask questions. And, especially as I'm recording this in April of 2020, where you have this, quarantine kind of surreal set of circumstances that we're all navigating together, people are looking for interactivity in ways that you really can't get from some of the Teachables of the world, the Gumroads of the world, those sorts of teaching platforms don't bake that into the mix the way that Mighty Networks does. All right, so you can create groups, you can create member categories. Let's do that. Let's enable member categories. And then you can essentially help your members connect or relate to one another by dint of their expertise or their specialty. So we can call this, in this case, with meditation, because the topic is meditation, you don't necessarily want to target by profession, but maybe interest, all these different categorizations. It's a word that obviously doesn't come out of my mouth easily, but you have all these different ways of, kind of parsing out the areas of interest that your audience may or may not have. So I could call a specialty, um, you know, I don't know. Let's just say meditation, because different people are going to have different sorts of meditation. Mindfulness meditation, mantra-based meditation, maybe just a conventional transcendental meditation practice. People who practice loving kindness or metta meditation. We have all kinds of different people in our mindful marketplace community who are teaching or involved in, the educational, let's say, area of various types of meditation. So we would just add that, and people could, categorize or self-select by dint of the type of meditation that they practice or teach, or whatever. Let's go back to features, and you can do things that allow your members to connect with each other by virtue of proximity. You can turn on all member chat. I mean, these things are really super cool. You can add a logo here that links to, let's say, your primary site. And that's particularly salient in this sort of example, because this is just a kind of goofy idea that we're building out into the, from a already parent community that's very strong. So we have 25,000 people in our Facebook group. We have, about 10,000 people on an email newsletter. So we have a store, we have an affiliate program. So all of this could be linked out from the Mighty Network on mobile and on desktop, which will allow me to promote, the primary pieces of our platform to folks on the, on this newer community. So, there's monetization possibilities there that you're, going to inherit by dint of this link, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can also add a link to the a website or webpage of your choice directly in the, navigational menu. All right, so we're going to skip that because it's not really necessarily relevant to this, video. But the other things you can do, are connect to Slack if you have one. So I think, and I haven't done this, but see a real-time feed of everything that's going on. Right, so you can connect your Slack network to your Mighty Network. So if you're running the productivity app Slack, you can actually sync your Mighty Networks community with your Slack channel, and we have a Slack channel as well from Mindful Marketplace that I don't really use much. So, and I'm also not a believer that you should, kind of overwhelm yourself with all these different content containers. I think simplicity is helpful, and I think a lot of people try to do too much. And I've seen communities, by the way, that are like trying to manage Slack, a Slack channel, they're trying to manage a blog, they're trying to manage a Mighty Network, they're trying to manage too much, a Facebook group, and ultimately it leads to a level of overwhelm that kind of fucks shit up. For lack of a better euphemism. All right, so keep things simple if you can. Don't allow yourself to go too wide or to get too, tethered, to too many different things, because I think it ends badly. All right, so I would actually leave that off. And just as a quick aside, I actually signed up for something just a couple of days ago that is, very well done, and, guy with a lot of, an organizational sort of, guru kind of guy who's got a good engaged audience, but he's like, I see him running Slack with his Mighty Network, and you can just see it's overwhelming. Like as a customer, like as a client or as a member of the community, I'm trying to track like all the different places where they're spreading their content out around, and it's overwhelming, distracting, and ultimately I think he's going to find that he's going to have to shut one of the two down, Slack or Mighty Networks, and it looks like he's shutting down his Slack. All right, and the last thing, of course, is something like Zapier, which allows you to automate and create connections between your Mighty Network, let's say, and other apps or software as a service, systems that you use. For an example, something like MailChimp or any other you're building a bridge between your Mighty network and other software that will allow you to kind of create automated actions that get triggered. Let's say when somebody signs up for your Mighty network, they also get added to a MailChimp list, et cetera, et cetera. And there are many different integrations that you can use, Mighty networks and Zapier to facilitate. All right, so let's go back, and there's all kinds of other cool things you can do. You can invite members. You can install premium analytics, which allow you to really get a good deep dive, look at what's happening in your your community. So in this case, I just opened this site. Today's the, I think, 21st, and I started this site on the 16th. 2 members so far. That's just me and me, right? So there's me, and then there's a administrator me. So there's really nothing happening, but you can see, all the various, metrics that can be measured behind your Mighty network. All right, so let's get out of that. And then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to create courses using your Mighty networks. And it's really, really cool and quite interactive and quite, quite a special way of building a course community that is simply not available on any of the other analogs, at least the ones that I've played with, and I've used just about all of the online learning management tools that are available. Is Mighty Networks my favorite designed? Do they have all the best user experience elements? Do they have everything tightly, kind of like mixed and matched and really integrated in an ideal way for me? They don't. No. We use Pathwrite, as an online school for Mindful Marketplace, and I really prefer a lot of the user experience and design elements to that better. But there's nothing like Mighty Networks in terms of the course community, content interactivity that you just can't get anywhere else. Like, you cannot have a social network built into a course in any other software that I've seen the way that Mighty Networks does that. And that has a value that is really hard to calculate. I mean, it's so special and so unique that makes, in my view, Mighty Networks, if you're teaching something, if you're building a community, and you really want folks to be interacting and to be, bonding with your brand, I can't think of a better, more exciting platform than this. I will say one other thing, and that is you're getting a really bad view, because I'm looking at this on my laptop. I mean, where Mighty Networks really shines is in the app and on mobile, right? So this is a piece of software that's really built for small devices. Their app, which will run your community, is super sweet, super sexy, looks awesome, and is really quite impressive. All right, so that's today's Mighty Networks introduction. I'm going to do one of these on courses as well, although you're going to have to sign up. It's free, but you'll have to sign into our Serve and Scale course community to get that. The link for that will be below, and I'll show you exactly how to build a course in about 15 minutes on Mighty Networks that you can then sell to your audience. Okie doke. I hope this has been helpful. Again, this is Ian from mindfulmarketplace.com, and this series is called Serve and Scale. And essentially, we just look at all the various things out there that you can borrow to build or leverage to launch your brand, your business, your platform, and your community. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.